My girlfriend whispered something to me when she thought I was asleep. Because of my job, I always wake up way earlier than my girlfriend, literally 2 hours earlier, so I also have to go to bed way earlier than her to get enough sleep. Yesterday evening when I went to bed, I couldn't really sleep because I had an important event today at work that made me nervous, so I was still awake when my girlfriend went to bed. I was really hot, yes, even during winter, so I slept without my blanket. I thought about talking to her, but something told me to keep my eyes closed, and I did. She took the blanket and covered me with it. Then she kissed me on the forehead and then she said it. She whispered it. She said every single word. Some people might say it's too cheesy, but I don't care. And I can remember every single word. I love you. I love you so much. I love you more than anything in the world. I love you more than words can express. You make me laugh. You make me happy. You make me feel loved. I'd never liked the idea of getting married, but you changed my mind. I want to stay with you forever. I'd rather die than living without you. My life isn't complete if you're not in it. I love you. Then she kissed my forehead again, and I tried my best not to let her know I was awake, which was hard because I teared up. After that, she went back to her side of the bed and laid down. I only then opened my eyes. I laid there for at least half an hour until she started snoring, and I knew she was asleep. I got up, went to the bathroom, and cried my eyes out. This was the most wonderful thing I've ever heard. I've never felt so much love in my life. After many years of bullying, my self-confidence was so destroyed that I didn't know if I deserved to be loved, let alone that anyone could love me like that. What made it even more special was the fact that my girlfriend had a bad past and had a lot of trouble showing her feelings on the outside. Even with me, she had a hard time being vulnerable sometimes, and the fact that she said this when she thought I couldn't hear her means that what she said came from her heart. My mom bragged about how she kept my dad out of my life. I grew hating him, thinking he abandoned me. I, 19F, grew up with a single mom. Growing up, I was always told my father abandoned me. It happened when I was around 10 when I asked my mom about my dad, and she told me straight he abandoned me. I cried so much that day, it's not a joke. As I grew older, I hated him even though I never met him. I thought about if he came back, I would scream at him, ruin him, attack him for leaving. Last week my mom and I was at her friend's house. I went along because I'm friends with her friend's daughter. Well, fast forward, I came downstairs and heard my name. She revealed my dad's name and said, "It's easy to keep a father out of a kid's life like what I did with Alina's, me, father, after I found out he cheated on me." She was also talking about how pathetic he looked when he pleaded with her to stay in my life. She also added how she used his old drug addiction against him in court. So from how I understand, he was sober before I was born. I made contact with my bio dad as soon as we got home. The next morning I got a reply. He asked for my number so we can talk. The first thing my dad said when he called was apologize. He told me it's all his fault. After talking with him for a while, I told I'd love to have a relationship with him. He lives not far from our city, a 2-hour drive. As for my mom, she is at work. I sent her a text telling her about what I heard, and I'll be cutting off contact with her for a while, and probably forever. So I did not mention this, only in a comment about the house. I inherited my uncle's house after he died, and that is when mom started acting weird. She believed that the house belonged to her and fought with my grandfather over, but he put his foot down and told her it's my house. Secondly, when I turned 18 and moved into the house, my mom came along. I didn't want to live with her again, but she told she'll cut off my college fund. Well, now my grandpa told me he'll pay for my college. Also, more about my mom. When my parents split up, my grandfather told her he doesn't support her decision to keep my father out of my life, but she told him then he will never see either. Also, my mom acts like my house belongs to her and always told me technically it's my house and should have been given to me. Another thing, my father quit drugs long before he met her. I confessed to this. Also, I was told by my grandpa not long after telling my mom she is no longer in my house that my dad loved me with all his heart when I was only a couple of months old. Apparently my dad almost made it impossible for other to hold me. Next thing is that my dad did confess to cheating. I already asked my mom to explain her side, and she said was yes, he did quit drugs long before he met her. However, that's about it so far. All she wants is for me to forgive her. I did ask my dad for his side. He hasn't replied yet, but he told me he'll call me later. I ruined my best friend's relationship. I might have been a bad friend to my best friend for telling her boyfriend about her plans. My 22F best friend, 20F, we will call her Kate, is dating her current boyfriend, 22M, who we will call Kyle. Well, Kyle happens to be my ex-boyfriend. We dated from August 2019, May 2022, and broke up because we realized it was not working for us, and he just kinda lost feelings for me, which is fine because it happens, but I was hurt. Well, Kate had a huge crush on him, and he felt the same, so Kyle and Kate started dating in October 2022. I was okay with it because, at the end of the day, you can't force feelings and I love them both so much. Last week, Kate told me she had been talking to another guy and wanted to have sex with this guy. She wanted me to lie to Kyle about her being with me one night while she goes out with the other guy. She said it's because her and Kyle aren't super serious yet, so it's fine. I told her I would not lie to him or anyone about her being with me if she isn't. After the fact, I told Kyle what she was doing, not to break them up, but because he has been cheated on in the past and it destroyed him and he's terrified of it. He needed to know. Now, Kate is pissed and said I'm an asshole for telling him and ruining their relationship, and she isn't speaking to me now. I might have ruined the friendship between all of us. Wish I could dress comfortably in my own house without having to turn down sex. My husband and I have been together for around a decade, 5 married. We have a toddler who is on the autism spectrum and in full-time therapy. The first couple years of his life were not easy on our marriage, but we are in a good place now. I have one complaint. I'd like to wear leggings or sports bra or a shirt and no bra around my house without having to de-escalate my husband. I know it's a good problem to have that he is attracted to me, etc. But it's so frustrating to be like cleaning the kitchen and have him try something when it's clearly just not the time. We have sex probably 2-3 a week on average, which I feel like is decent for our relationship realities. I just don't have it in me to give much more physically right now, but I hate rejecting my husband every time I want to walk around with no pants or just a sports bra, which is often. It's just exhausting to constantly feel sexualized. Anyway, this is a throwaway because it would probably make him feel bad if he found this and somehow connected it to me. Just needed to vent. I found out that my boyfriend of 2 years is married and has kids. I'm showing myself to his family tomorrow at his church. Throwaway because I don't want my followers to see this. I'm just so confused right now and need to talk to somebody. I've been seeing this guy Adam, 32 inches, for 2 years. He's from another town but visits me on weekends. I never met his family, friends, or been to his town. I know that he works at the church and he takes pride in that. 3 weeks ago, I found out that he's actually married and has 2 kids. I was devastated and in a state of disbelief, but most of all, I was mad, especially after I confirmed this via his wife's social media account. We're still talking and I haven't broke up with him yet. I planned and decided to show myself to his family on Sunday at his church and let them know that he used me and took advantage. I plan on ending it right there and then. I'm currently in his town staying at a hotel. I'm doing this tomorrow and no one knows except myself. He's still texting me lies thinking that I'm stupid or ignorant. I feel terrible, but something's pushing me to do this. Don't know if it's anger or feeling bad for his wife and kids. I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried this might backfire at me. But at this point I have nothing to lose. I just feel like I need to get my respect and dignity back after being lied to and fooled for 2 years. I hired a male sex worker for 2 hours just to hug me and hold me, and I gave him flashcards of what to say to me. I'm a 22-year-old female. I'm introverted. I had one boyfriend who cheated on me 8 months ago, and since then found it incredibly difficult to socialize. Not that many people made an effort. I'm simple. I don't have social media. I have a few friends, but they don't really speak to me much. I'm average looking, pretty insecure since my breakup. I'm in college and on weekends work a 12-hour shift at a fast food restaurant to make ends meet. I don't know, I felt really lonely, so I knew of a guy who works with me who told me his friend is doing sex work. I found him on Facebook and he told me how much he charged. Also asked me a bunch of questions about my sexual health. I never planned on sleeping with him, I just didn't want him to find me weird. Anyway, we met at a hotel. I told him I didn't want to have sex, I just wanted to be held and given words of affirmation and care. He agreed and I paid him. I gave him flashcards. They all said things like, I'm proud of you, you're doing so well, you're strong, did you eat, are you okay, I know you can do it, etc, etc. And he just held me until our hours was up and then I bolted, and I feel so ashamed and had to tell someone. But I don't speak to anyone, so here I am. Thank you all for the kindest words and making me feel better and less ashamed. Yes, that's me immediately upvoting. I'm not good with words, so please know I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you so much. My girlfriend passed away 12 hours after giving birth to our first child. As the title states, my M29 girlfriend, F29, passed away 12 hours after giving birth. A blood clot had formed in her leg during pregnancy. After she had a C-section, she was taken onto the ward to recover. She got up to go for a shower a few hours later, and the clot traveled to her lungs. I'm in a bad place right now. I've cried every day and there are no words to describe my emotions. The feeling of loss is indescribable, not just for me but for our son and for my partner's mom and her family as well. The emotional contrast that occurred between that 12-hour period has shaken me in ways that I can't describe. That day went from the best day of my life, our beautiful son being born with the woman I love, to the worst day of my life and all the future we had planned and prepared and talked about for so long being ripped away in some cruel, horrible and unfair turn of fate. I honestly don't know exactly why I have decided to share this experience on Reddit. I don't know if it will help. I think my dad might have killed someone when I was a kid. One night, when I, 36F, was about 8 or 9 years old, mid-90s, my father took my little brother and I to Blockbuster to pick out movies. We left there and my dad stopped at a corner store for some snacks and he parked on the side of the building. He left me and my brother in the car while he ran in. On his way out, a man came up behind him and held something to his side. My dad pretended he was going to hand the man his wallet, but he instead elbowed the man in his face and he fell to the ground. The guy got up and came at my dad with a knife and my dad fought it away from him and stabbed him with it. It was long and that shit went all the way in. The guy let out this horrible groan. I can still hear it. He left the guy on the floor writhing, hopped in the car and took off. For so many years I thought this was a dream until my little brother mentioned it to me when asking if I remembered. We've never brought this up to my father, ever. I've always wondered what happened to that guy, but this was way before cell phones and stuff, so who knows? It's crazy the weight that comes off of someone when they say things they've always been holding in.